Hey everyone, welcome to the Stonery podcast. Today I'm back at Cafe Kana. I'm off-site out of my house, and I am here today with Joe from Foothills Hash.
What's up, everybody?
We are here to talk about a little bit about Joe and what you do and how you do it. So if you have anything you want to say before we deep dive into you and your business, and feel free to get it off your chest.
Really just, thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
This is my first ever interview for any type of podcast or
That's awesome.
just any questioning about me, my journey, and my processes. So it's just super cool to be here. It's an honor, I love Kefi. I met Bobby G, and so to do this, to show support with you guys is just another thing on my list.
Hell yeah.
It's just awesome. Community,
Awesome. Cool. You're still only like my third interviewee. I'm pretty new to interviewing, so
yeah.
Bear with me.
Hey, no, and that's another thing. I was like, really I could be a part of something early that who knows where it could go.
Yeah, so. I'm hoping to the moon. I'm hoping to the moon. Cool. So let's get into it. What drew you to solventless extraction? What was the kind of like turning point of I want to do this with my life?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to work with the plant my entire life. You know what I mean? I'm 30 years old now, and I've been in some way, shape, or form dealing with the plant since I was about 12 years old.
Yeah.
Whether it's been a consumer to just messing around in just fields, throwing seeds just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
So using it as my daily medicine for a lot of different reasons. But for me, it's always been about cleanliness, always trying to find the cleanest flower, when BHO was around, even though I know it's solvent based, it was still trying to about finding that cleanest BHO you can. And so, when I tried rosin for the first time, it just completely changed my life. I knew about rosin and like water hash and things like that well before I actually tried it. And there was always that interest in it. It's just the pockets couldn't really afford it at the time. And then, once I kind of started figuring some things out and, just getting things financially in my life together and I was able to, it was like just a wake up moment,
Yeah.
And from that day forward, I just knew this was the direction I was supposed to go with the plant. Because I was already growing for a little while before I tried solventless, and I wasn't really doing any solvent-based extractions. But like I said, as soon as I tried it, I knew it was like, okay, well, this is why I'm growing. This is where I need to be going towards, and this is what I want to do long term.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. So how would you kind of explain live rosin to somebody who knows nothing about concentrates?
To somebody that knows nothing about concentrates.
Yeah, say you have a family member who's interested in weed and they're like, what is this thing,
Yeah, I would say, just like any form of concentrates, just concentrates in general, is just taking all the good stuff off the plant and putting it into a concentration form.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the sugariness of how trichomes look and things like that. And so, all those little shiny glands on the plant, like the little heads, it's like you're taking that and, condensing it into something that, can be smoother, a more enjoyable experience, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But something that just takes the experience to a completely different level.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah. Awesome. And then in that way, there would also be the explanation of just the fact that it's with water. There is no chemicals being used in the process, and then I'm using water as the vessel to transport the trichomes from the plant to the jar. You know what I'm saying? So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Do you do a lot of cold cure rosins? I know the strawberry cream cake that we have was a cold cure, but is this a cold cure rosin or?
Yes, that is a cold cure rosin at the moment. Everything that, I release single source wise. Most of the individuals that I wash for, shout out Team No Till and Mother Tree.
Yeah.
They're very interested in the cold cure as well, just because that's mainly where the market's at. As a hash maker,
delicious.
and that's another thing. Like, people want that flavor when they're getting this experience with rosin. And, fresh press is great and all, and it can hit, but at the end of the day, it's always lacking that flavor. And then when it comes to melt, people just can't really afford that. It's hard to store it, and so there's a lot of potentials to have that melt degrade before you can truly enjoy that experience. And so I feel like cold cure is the easiest way to bring something to the market that allows anybody to grab it, shelf stable, so if they let it sit on their, table for a week, it's still not going to degrade. It's not going to disappear. It should still taste relatively the same as the day you first got it.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. Now, obviously, if you leave a jar open, oxidize and things like that, if you don't care for the jar, it will degrade. But, if you do everything right, every time you go to take a dab of cold cure, it should taste very similar.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Not the same.
I didn't know that about the shelf stable. I knew a lot of my dabs keep in the fridge,
Yeah.
But
well, that's the best part for it. But if you ever get a puck of fresh press and just leave it on the counter, you'll see the process of the cold cure happen.
Okay.
And so that's what we mean by shelf stable. Is just that if you leave this out for more than 24 to 72 hours, when you come back, it's going to be exactly the same. There's not going to be any processes that happen to the physical material while it sits out, unlike melt, unlike fresh press.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's awesome. So moving a little bit more into the plant.
Yeah.
What do you notice in how important genetics are in making your rosin? I know you have a couple of people you partner with. Is there like a specific reason they stand out from other growers, or?
Well, to answer the first part of that question, yeah, genetics make up everything. You see what I'm saying? Just because one person has a plant that washes, right, and say you go buy that pack of seeds, that doesn't mean all of those seeds are going to wash at the same percentages, right? That's why pheno hunts are so important, especially with water hash extraction. When you're talking like BHO and stuff, genetics doesn't really matter in this sense as often because you can blast anything.
Yeah.
Right? But it's a very specific trait that a plant is able to produce in the bags, in the water. And so, yeah, genetics make up everything. After that, it definitely comes down to the way that it's grown. In my opinion, living soil is the best way to grow for rosin. You're going to get the best plant expression. You're going to get the best flavor transfer. And then you take that and you pair it with a really clean environment. And what I mean by clean is like you're not touching the plants all the time. You're not in dirt and dust. It doesn't have to be an indoor, because I've seen some greenhouses that are cleaner than people's indoors.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
But just having that clean environment, good genetics, then you're going to make some amazing hash if the grower knows what they're doing.
That's awesome.
Not to say that salts don't make good hash either.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, living soil is the best, and that's what stands out with the other partners I work with. They align with how I would grow the plant, so
that's awesome.
Yeah,
really cool. Have you grown before? Are you a regular grower?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, with my single source, it's me from start to finish. Everything in my personal garden, I popped from seed. I selected myself. I am taking in 2 clones of some stuff that I've been really wanting from a good buddy. Yeah, I'm not going to tell it. It's going to be a surprise. But, it's my first time receiving clones from anywhere, and I'm super excited for it. But, yeah, single source, I do everything from seed to harvest to washing to pressing, to pucking and stickering it.
Can you take us basically through the process that the bud will go through once you harvest it? And to get to the cold cure rosin? Yeah.
So, especially when I'm working for other people, I try and process the material as fast as possible. Typically, if I can, best case scenario is getting the material in the water 72 hours after it's been harvested.
Okay.
But really, from harvest to the time I start washing, it's as simple as you're cutting a branch on the plant, you're removing all of the large fan leaves, and you're bucking down into a bag or like a plastic food grade container, just something that's clean to where you can hold about 1,000 grams wet at a time. But it goes directly into that bag, and then it immediately goes into the freezer. And there's nothing else that's done to it in between harvest and being washed.
Okay.
It's literally just off the plant, frozen from freezer into the water. I spin that water by hand with a paddle. I drain it into my bag system, which is the sieving system. That's your micron ranges. I collect it, put it on the tray, and into the freeze dryer it goes.
Wow. Okay.
And I try and process everything within a week of getting the material in the sense of being washed, frozen and ready for pressing.
Nice.
So,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. What kind of temperatures are you keeping the buds at? Like when you freeze it, is there a specific temperature that works the best, or is that just kind of going into it? I know obviously when you take the dab, you want it to be a certain temperature. But does that affect it beforehand?
Definitely. So you don't want it to be in an environment that slow freezes necessarily. Because then you have, humidity coming into the bag. That humidity can then turn into frostbite and all this other problems can happen. So if you can, I'd say 0 or below. For your freezing would be amazing. But any deep freezer will do. The key is just making sure you're not taking a lot of time between the harvest and the freezer. Okay. Once you start filling a bag, you should have that bag filled to the level that you want it to within an hour. It's very, very quick, because if you don't, well, then that's when the moisture starts to come into the bag, and then that's when you can start having the issues in the freezer.
That makes sense.
But that's a great question, because I really haven't noticed what temperature I'm freezing at. My freezer is just set to the deepest it can.
Makes sense.
I don't get frostbite, and I know when No-Till calls me over to, check out the material, it's not frostbite at all, and Mother Tree brings me material that's perfect as well. And
awesome.
I know No-Till has a -20 freezer. I know Mother Tree has like a 10 below freezer. So the key is just making sure it's frozen well, rather than, what temperature it's at. As long as you're below 0, though, you're good.
That's awesome. So does the cold cure typically cost more to produce than regular rosin, or is it just similar cost? Because I know yours is a little bit more expensive, but I always attributed that to the fact that it was like small batch.
Price point is always a hard topic to discuss within the hash industry, right? Because I won't lie, there are a lot of big companies, and when I mean big, that, will have a drop and say it's small batch, but it went to every legal state, and it went to thousands of dispensaries.
Yeah, small batch.
Small batch. And, so it's really hard to price accordingly, but this is true small batch. I do, like I said, everything single source, so you would consider me micro batch. I'm running 4 lights for flour. No-Till is genuine small batch, and because he could do everything on his farm from start to finish by himself. That's what I'm saying? And so you have to look at the scenario for what you have. The other things you have to take into effect is like, okay, how much did we produce? What I'm saying? If I wash 10,000 grams of material and I only get back 100 grams to rosin, that's not that great. That's a horrible return. You know what I'm saying? But compared to a 10,000 gram wash that gets back 1,000 grams of hash, that price point can reflect.
Okay.
So, we feel that we've priced ours fairly to the average consumer, because with the single source, like I said, it's micro batch. My boy No-Till understands that he is larger than me, but at the end of the day, he's not an MSO. He has no employees, and so, yes, it may be more in the sense of the eyes, but it's still true small batch.
Oh, absolutely.
And then what comes down to it next is like how it's grown. Overall, main thing is quality, where like cleanliness, and then quantity. That's the big things that would determine price.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. What is a big misconception about rosins that you want to clear up, or is there any?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely misconceptions. That sun-grown is inferior to indoor.
I've heard that, but I don't personally agree.
I think it all comes down to how it's grown. You know what I'm saying? There's so much rosin on this market that is winning competitions, that is flooding stores, that is making waves, that is all sun-grown. They're grown in a hoop that's covered with no extra lighting. Sun-grown. It's outdoor. And most of the rosin that the average consumer is smoking, I would think, is outdoor, with just how the average grower is when you're looking at nationwide. So then with that one, following into that, that's one misconception. The other one is that, 90U or only type people. It's nothing against them. And I'm not going to sit here and deny that 90U, your first wash, your smallest wash in the sense of time, is not the cream of the crop, because it is. You know, when you're talking competitions that you're going up against people, you want to bring the best of the best. That's it.
Yeah.
But when you're talking medicine for the masses, medicine for your community, medicine for the average consumer, you know, your 90U isn't always the best option, right? Because that you're limiting the spectrum of the plants when you're doing that. In my opinion, there's a lot of 90U out there, and because it's 90U, but also in hand that they pull early for color, that makes you real racy, and it makes you get anxious and paranoid, you know? And it's because you're missing those other spectrums, you know? Like when you smoke flower, you're not just smoking the 90U first wash, you know, you're smoking all of it. And so with our rosin, you know, I aim to bring the cleanest medicine that I possibly can. Yeah. And that's always been the goal. And so to me, that's a misconception that it should only be 90U or bust in a jar. You know?
Yeah. So. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So how do you pick your strains, or do you just kind of go with what your gardens bring you? Or when you do your like single batch, that's true single batch, what makes you choose like strawberry cream cake over other strains, or whatever you're doing next over what was up in competition?
Yeah, so it's just like any other grower, I feel, would say their nose knows. So I'm hunting for me first and foremost. I'm a disabled veteran. I use this as a daily medication for all of my, you know, problems that I have that have come from that. So, you know, when I hunt something, the first thing that starts is the interest in the name, right? Look at the genetic lineage. Is it something that I'm searching for? Is it a potential profile that I've been looking for? As far as, you know, for washing standpoint, I try not to just look at the genetics and like, oh, this isn't a known washing genetic lineage, you know, and if it interests me, I pop the beans.
Yeah. You'll be the one to test it.
Exactly. And I run every female that I pop all the way through flower. Nice. You know, I do want to see every bean. I don't cut anything out just from veg. Yeah. But from flower to, you know, post-processing and physically trying everything, it really just comes down to the nose for me and the effects. If the nose is there, if the effects are there, and if the flavor's there, it's a guaranteed winner for me. You know, now if it does above 3%, that's a bonus. Obviously, I'd love to have a garden full of genetics that all dump at 5% to hash or rosin, you know, but I have some stuff that does 2% or less. I have some things that do 5%. Yeah. And if the terp profile that jumps at me the most of that, you know, pool of genetics that I'm looking at in that time isn't a big 5%er, well, that's okay. Yeah. You know, because it's not about the percentages. But percentages do come into play just a little bit, you know what I mean? Oh, obviously, I'm not going to bring something into production that does sub 1% just because I like it. You know, sometimes it's just, well, I can't run that, and it is what it is. Keep hunting for the one that does wash. Keep hunting for the one that does check all the boxes, and so that's what makes it fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that, like I said, the process is similar for almost every grower. You know, at first it's the nose that gets your interest. Then it comes down to, well, how does it smoke? How does it taste? How does it feel?
Yeah. Cool. Like, that's what I like about Kefi is these strains are like picked by the team, you know, like we smoke them, we love them, you know, like that is why they're here, is because they're solid tested strains that really help people. So I love to hear that that's your goal as well. I know that is because Bobby only works with the best, but what do you find to be the most difficult part of this business?
Communication.
Yeah.
Communication.
Oh my God, that's everything, though. I think that's our world's problem.
It really is, but, you know, and not even through the cannabis scene, but just through my journeys in life, learning how to communicate with another person calmly, professionally, but firmly in times of need, you know, when you need to be firm, is a huge win. One thing that I'm very grateful for is the fact that, like, the people that I do work with now, we can just shoot each other straight. You know what I'm saying? If they're mad at me, they can say, yo, I'm mad. Like, XYZ, we need to fix this. If I have an issue with something, or I feel like they might be going in to do something that I don't agree with, it's like, hey, well, this is how I feel. You know what I mean? And they take that in respect as well. But we know at the end of the day, we're boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, business and stuff can cause a lot of confusion and just problems between people when there really shouldn't have been because it's just miscommunication.
Yeah. I find that's probably everybody's problem with business, with work, with home life,
Anything.
with everything.
Honestly.
Communication is fucking huge.
Yeah, and it's great to work with people that know how to communicate back.
Yeah.
Because you know when they don't.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So bad.
Where do you see Foothills Hash going in the future?
Wherever it gets taken.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I didn't become a hash maker for anybody else. I didn't become a hash maker to become famous, to go win competitions, well, a little bit to travel the world. I won't lie.
Well, we all want to travel, right?
Exactly. But wherever this takes me is where it takes me.
Yeah. That's cool.
No matter where it takes me, I'm always going to be making hash. I'm always going to be growing. It's like I said, this is my medicine, and it's been my medicine since 2017. Right? I drove off base smoking a joint, flicking off my MPs.
I love that.
This plant's my life.
Yeah.
And nothing's going to stop me from working with it. Mm-hmm. And just the fact that I can bring it to the community and I can do this within North Carolina specifically is a dream come true. I've always said I wanted to change the game in North Carolina and I wanted to be known for this in North Carolina. And,
hell yeah.
15 years later, it's starting to actually happen. And it just feel like I'm in a movie some days. So
I love that.
Yeah, wherever it goes is wherever it goes. I'll be happy with it. So.
Very cool. That's awesome. All right. What do you wish every customer understood before buying cannabis? What is you should know this before you expect to regularly consume or medicate or just enjoy cannabis?
It's not all grown equally.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Knowing and just having that gut feeling that you can trust the person that you're getting it from is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Trust your source.
Yeah.
That's our whole thing.
Yeah, that's a hard one, because you can say, don't go take a dab for your first time or don't go eat 100 milligrams for your first time. But, there's a lot of...
that's their dose.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Some people's endocannabinoid system is not functioning properly at the end of the day. I'm one of those people that believe it. I'll smack 6 half-gram dabs in a day and ride like it's nothing. And some people call me a freak, but it's it's hard to kind of tell new people where to go. I'd always, just say know your source and ease into it. You know what I mean? If it's something that doesn't necessarily scare you and a dab comes up and somebody offers that to you and it doesn't scare you and you're comfortable, run that dab, get that experience. But if in your heart you're like, I don't know, I want to take that pause, listen to your gut. Just bring it in slowly and take it slowly.
Yeah, I like that. So, what is your favorite strain? Do you have one? Are you more sativa or indica or hybrid leaning?
Well, on that one, everything is a hybrid basically nowadays.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting a land race or something like that, it's all a hybrid in my opinion. Favorite strain, I definitely have some rosin that I will always drop the money on. Mm-hmm. One of them is a punch cake by this guy J&P Glass Art. He's the one that grows it, and it's processed by Smoky Solventless out of Michigan.
Okay.
Mad respect to them boys. One, they grow some amazing weed. They make some amazing rosin. I mean, they're one of the best respected hash makers. Smokies is one of the best respected hash makers, in my opinion, in the country.
Hell yeah.
And that punch cake, for me, it's everything. I'm chasing fruit punch terps. That's probably my favorite profile. But that one, it took away all of my body pain. It took away any anxiety that I had. It took away, any negative thoughts or depressive feelings.
Yeah.
While also feeling very creative and very in tune with my body. And it was just one of those smokes that I can literally smoke it from sun up to sundown and I will not get tired of it. And I don't feel lethargic throughout the day. I still feel like I can get everything done. And
hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see here. I got a couple.
Yeah, definitely like those. I would buy that in a heartbeat when I walk into a dispensary, and it'll tell me everything I need to know. You know?
Yeah, that part. Yeah, it's really hard because one of my personal smokes now is something that I have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's my Project Z Brulee. Um, it's a cross of a Project Z to a hazelnut cream BX3. It was bred by a guy named Resin Reserve, but he's
Yeah.
another well-respected, just hash maker breeder. But yeah, I popped a pack of his beans, and this Project Z is super special to me.
Awesome.
Every person that I've let try it, or any person that's bought a puck, has been like, like that is the one, like out of everything that I have.
Yeah.
It's similar effects to the punch cake in the sense that it medicates me very heavily. I mean, it'll send a
Yeah.
wave down your body from head to toe as you're taking the dab.
Hell yeah.
It's like a nice, it's a sweet kind of Skittles gas that leaves this like baked good taste on the back of your mouth that like you're just not expecting,
Yeah. Oh, I love it when they're like sweet like that. That's my favorite because I had such a sweet tooth, but I don't eat gluten anymore, so I get most of my sweetness from dabs and from the terpenes.
When I say sweet, I wouldn't think too sweet,
Well,
not like
yeah,
sugar sweet, but yeah, it's a unique one, and like I said, she's special. And at the moment, nobody in this world has her. I popped the bean, I selected the pheno. I have not given the cutout to anybody that I know has given it out. Two people do have it.
Yeah.
One I know is not going to bring it to market, and the other one is a close friend that is, just a safe place to hold genetics. You always got to be able to trust somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's cool.
That's a special one.
That's
that
really
one
cool.
I feel like I could take to a competition, and I don't know if I'd say I'd win, but I feel like I would do good.
You'd impress people for sure.
I feel like I'd make a statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. All right, and I want to end on this question, but what other cannabis do you ingest? Are you just a dabber, or do you like keep flower to smoke? Do you keep gummies on hand or stuff like that? What is your like daily cannabis use?
Yeah, I'm a hash head through and through.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy good flower, I don't keep really flower on me like that.
Yeah. Just when it's passed.
I mean, there's times I purchase flower.
Oh,
what I mean? Especially like when the boys have the drops and everything, and it's really fresh and just off the vine, and I can get it, from them, trusted sources. But for the most part, it's a lot of rosin. A lot of rosin. Some full melt, when I find it and that it makes good full melt. But I dab a lot.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's
cool.
my go-to.
I love a dab.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. And from just the way it hits to the way you start floating.
Oh,
it's an immediate mood changer when you need it, and just
Yeah, absolutely. Great. That's what locked me in earlier. I went to the bar, got a dab, and locked into working on podcast stuff. Oh yeah,
definitely.
That's my routine when I'm here as a customer.
I love it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, that would be it for today. Is there anything you would like to plug before we leave? I know you're on Instagram. Is there, I know you're selling at Skyland. I know you have some of your stuff here. Where else are you? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so single source wise, at the moment I am exclusive with Skyland Cannabis out of Asheville. Just because first drop was 2 lights and flower. This second drop will be 4 lights, and that's probably going to be my max I do.
Yeah.
But as far as collaborations with No Till and things like that, we're in Golden Goat. We're in Skyland. We're here at Kefi. We're also in Pisgah Dispensary at the moment.
Cool.
We just dropped off at them. Yeah, great guys over there.
Oh, yeah.
And looking to get into more stores, too. We do have COAs, and since we can do this, No Till is able to supply a little bit more than I am, but looking to try and expand a little bit into Raleigh, try and get towards the beach area, into Wilmington. Or, again, who knows where it'll take us. But yeah, that's where you can find us at the moment.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.